Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Prof, for inviting me to this panel. Thank you, Manu, Billion Connects. Many of the faces which I have seen on the television, I'm happy to see them today. And Prof, this is the best communication strategy which you have adopted, that you have brought everybody together. I don't think you are the best person to tell what is communication about. I don't know, I had prepared something else, but listening from morning, I'm going to share my thoughts about it, and that which is a completely different thing which I thought about speaking today, is what the Honorable Vice Chancellor said in the morning, certainty of uncertainty. I began from the premise that I don't know anything. I consciously feel that there is no template right now available to understand what's happening at the grassroots level. A particular slogan, a particular phrase, a particular kind of campaign which gives results in one state fails in the other state. Post facto, we can do a lot of understanding of the thing. For instance, many people say the scheme introduced in the last days of Maharashtra gave the ruling party an edge over the Congress. But we have Telangana, where every single social group had everything. Some welfare measures or the other, every single social group. The ruling party lost. So I don't think we can generalize anything. That's my first point which I will begin with. Second thing which I just want to also put forth for your consideration is, I think it was Ronald Coase, one of the famous Nobel laureate, who said, if you squeeze data, something like that, it will give whatever the results you want. The same data can be used to give multiple results. And it depends on what results you want and for whom you are working for. Now, in this complexity, how does political communication work? I don't say that political communication does not work. I am only putting forward that how it works, at least I don't have a template to understand. But what task does political communication do? Tiwari Bhai Sahab in the very beginning said that there are 4 phases how it came to YouTube, from a simple communication to YouTube. So I do feel that there are multiple channels which operate in the same time and space, both digital and non-digital. But at the same time, why it is able to convince a voter for to vote of a particular group, particular party, particular individual, that is very, very ambiguous to me. That I actually don't believe that a slogan can turn the elections. If you see Telangana elections, I think all the right slogans were used by the outgoing party, and so was by the incoming party. But why did people choose over one over the other? Afroz Bhai tells me it was an MLA-led election, it was not a Chief Minister-led election. That it was anti-incumbency against the MLAs, not against the Chief Minister, and that's what I've capitalized. So that, what effectively is telling me that it's a local level election. The face of the Chief Minister does not matter. And this is what we have seen in election campaigns in several states, where the election was tried to be taken to the local narratives. And that local narrative does not gel with the larger narrative which a political campaign might be trying to put forth. Now, but what is one very clear that there are two sets of discourses. One is the elite discourse, quote unquote, I'm using the word elite, which uses a lot of AI's data and other things to push through a certain narrative. And then there is a very local level discourse, which is also, I think the panel said about the democratization of the space. There's a very local level discourse, and there's a tension there between the elite level discourse and the local level discourse. There's a huge tension there. And I'm sorry to say, or rather accept very honestly, I don't have a framework to understand this tension. That how will the vote will be governed there between these two discourses. Second, what is we are seeing is a very, very important characteristics of political communication. And that characteristic is blurring of political and non-political sphere. The messages which the mobilization is done at the local level are not, in one can say, if one is a political theorist, one is a political philosopher, one can say that everything is politics. Even if I say I'm apolitical, that is also politics. At a very philosophical level, you can say that. But what I'm trying to say, with a limited and narrow sense of political, the mobilization is on non-political issues. It can be humor. It can be simply a symbolic idea of what your city is. So this blurring of line, we have seen actors brought in to interview people. We have seen Rahul Gandhi giving an interview to a blogger. The Prime Minister giving an interview to an actor, which is absolutely non-political in nature. I don't remember Bombay First or something like that. This lady who took on Rahul Gandhi's interview on what kind of food he eats, what he cooks. Rahul Gandhi goes to Lalu Yadav's home and cooks mutton. So the message which is coming to, I am told that I was not witness to it, but I am told that when Rahul Gandhi passed through Telangana and other he made it a point to cook non-veg. I cannot authenticate it, but I am told this is the story. So he's also giving a communication. There's also communication there. So what I'm trying to basically draw your attention to, the political messaging is through lot of non-political idioms. And that is very, very critical to understand. I often tell my students that the best people, the most sharpest mind, the most analytical mind are the people who make successful ads. So what the thesis is, again, the non-political communication strategy is non-political strategy is far more aggressive, far more pronounced, and far more productive than the political strategies, political idioms. Political idioms, what they do is to reinforce the non-political strategies which was done in the previous months or years. Now, I will make this last 2 points and then end here. And the one very interesting thing is happening in political communication, which impacts the psychology of the voter, of the supporters, is creation of global coalition. If you see, the Italian Prime Minister day before yesterday gave a very powerful speech, and she drew parallels between US, Germany, US, India, and America. And then Trump comes and says that there's something happening in Germany also. So this is a very the coalition building at the international level, at the national level, at the micro level. Meso, micro, macro. Micro, meso, macro. Micro, meso, macro. And how do you translate? The idea here is, for a political strategist, is how do you converge the message? How do you create कहते हैं सुई में कैसे पिरो के इसमें से निकालना तीनों चीज. अगर ये तीनों चीज कनेक्ट होती है तो वो एक पॉलिटिकल स्ट्रैटेजी है जो रोबस्ट होती है. The last point which I will make and then end there is, हम लोग ने बहुत सुना एल्गोरिथम कैसे चलता है, फेसबुक कैसे चलता है, इंस्टा कैसे चलता है, आजकल तो यंग लोग इंस्टा पे हैं और यार स्नैपचैट पे हैं. I see, and there is an algorithm on what you get. If I see basketball and badminton. I don't have anything on my Insta except the basketball and badmintons. But what I'm trying to say, the thesis which algorithm gives us is that there are both negative and positive content. But I'm sorry to say, negative and positive content is as per my belief, my ideology. Something which is negative for me may be very positive for you. So this preconceived idea that there is a negative content, there is a positive content which algorithm can push, I also somewhere not very comfortable. In objectively you may say it exists there, but something which you think is very negative and crass, I might be a supporter of that. And that's how the algorithm works. So we have to look at the algorithm in a completely different sense of the term. So my last point here is, before I end, is see what we require is that there are two different concepts which as a student of political science I was taught. Political space, political sphere and political process and political space. Is a political process which is captured through ideas, aggregation of interest, lobbyists and so on and so forth. But how to capture this is done in the political space, and that's where the communication strategy works. But that communication, the template, I think we have to think more about it, that what is that template and there is no context and time specific. It's very context and time specific. Until we are able to capture that, we are saying something which is based on a certain kind of understanding or data, which another person can use that data to give completely different results. Thank you so much.